from. So today we are doing the revision of paper 3 and paper 2 in English KCSE. So what to watch out for when answering questions in KCSE English paper 2 and paper 3. What should we look out for? So I'm yours, Nelson Odero. So the set text studied in secondary school as tested in KCSE English paper 2 and paper 3. So paper 2 is usually set as an excerpt taken from any part of one of the compulsory text and then questions are set from them. So one of the common and tricky questions on the excerpt is placing the excerpt in its immediate context, which requires the student to place the excerpt exactly where it was taken from in the text. This means that the student needs to have mastered the plot and have the fine details of the events, including the quotes and exact words of the characters. So a student who has mastered the plot is able to talk about the events that happened just before, immediately after the excerpt. Which is what is expected of as a question. The events before are supposed to be presented in prose and not in point form. So when you are asked to place the excerpt in its immediate context, you should write for us what happened before and what happened after that text or after that excerpt. So you should also use simple present tense. The other questions on the excerpt are mainly on the themes that you're finding in the text, the styles that have been used, and the characters who are there. The characters are described using adjectives, while themes and styles are stated using nouns. All the answers given on the three areas should be well illustrated using evidence from the excerpt. So students who identify themes, styles, or character traits without illustration may not score any mark, because this one may be assumed that you're guessing. So you should give your theme and illustrate on it more in one paragraph. So a theme, one paragraph, you explain, another theme, another paragraph, then you explain. So there may also be questions on comprehension, interpretation, and grammar. Other questions might require the student to relate the events in the excerpt to others in the text, which again relates to the text. Other questions may require the student to relate the events in the excerpt to others in the text, which again emphasizes the importance of mastery of the text. So before you answer any questions in part 1 and part 2 and part 3, you should be familiar with the text. You should have read it and understood it very well. So you should take your time mostly to understand the excerpt or the text that you are writing. Paper 3 is about essay writing, where students are expected to write 3 essays, 2 of which are based on the set text. The essay questions test the student's mastery of the text as well as its analytical and critical ability, which will enable him to advance plausible arguments with relevant illustrations. So before embarking on the writing, you should interpret and establish the demands of the question. Before you answer any question in paper 2 and paper 3, you should understand what the question is asking you to do. This applies not only in English and literature, it also applies across all the subjects that you are doing. So before embarking on the writing, you should interpret and establish the demands of the questions, which can be done by identifying the major words and their meaning, which can then be related to the text. It's also important to plan your essay by identifying your points. So first, you are advised to write a plan so that you don't mix up your points. Write your plan from the introduction until the end. It's going to be the conclusion. It's also important to plan your essay by identifying your points, the illustrations to support them, and the order in which you will present them in your essay. This one prevents you from mixing up your ideas. So you can organize your points in their order of strength. A good essay has an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. A good essay must have an introduction, must have a body, and a conclusion. It's also advisable to have 1 paragraph as your introduction, 3 paragraphs as the body, and a paragraph on conclusion. So there are various ways of writing an introduction. It can be a general comment on the society based on the statement in the questions. A contextualized comment which focuses on the text, or a combination of both, starting with the general, then the contextualized one. So another way is to write an outline of the various points that you will discuss in the body. It is important to note that definition is not considered an introduction, because the defining the terms alone does not prove that you have understood and interpreted the question you are asked. So the introduction should be brief, and its own paragraph. The body is divided into well-structured paragraphs, with each paragraph discussing one point. So the body is divided into well-structured paragraphs. So each in the body you should have 3 paragraphs at least. So each body in the body should have paragraphs. So each paragraph should have a topic sentence which gives a general idea about what the paragraph will talk about. This should be followed by supporting sentences which give more information on the topic sentence. The supporting evidence should be taken from the text and should be relevant to the question. As you present your evidence, always go back to the question and ensure that your illustrations are addressed or are addressing and meeting the demands of the question. End your paragraphs with a clincher, which concludes the paragraph by showing the relevance of the paragraph to the question. So your essay should have a conclusion, which can be a recap of the points or a statement that shows the validity of what is stated in the question. So like the introduction, the conclusion should be as brief as possible and on its own paragraph. Ensure that you do not have subheadings in your essay and does not exceed 450 words. So in the conclusion, you should not introduce any new idea in the introduction, in the conclusion. So the following is a sample essay question from the Caucasian Chalk Circle, which I think you've read before in your class. So the play, the Caucasian Chalk Circle, is a satirical. Write an essay to show the validity of this statement. The play, Caucasian Chalk Circle, is satirical. Write an essay to show the validity of this statement. So you should be drawing your illustration from the battled breadths, the Caucasian Chalk Circle. So how can you go through this? So in the first sentence, in the first paragraph, which is the introduction, you say that in society, some institutions and individuals have weaknesses which make them do things that are contrary to the expectation of those who rely on them. In the Caucasian Chalk Circle, institutions such as judiciary, religion, government, and armed force are humorously criticized to bring out their weaknesses such as corruption, hypocrisy, and misuse of power, among others. Individual weaknesses are also highlighted in the same way in which characters like Natella, Aniko, Lavrenti, and the monk. The second paragraph, the government in Grusinia is portrayed as an irresponsible one which has neglected its subject. As Governor Abashvili attends the service on Easter Sunday, he is approached by beggars and petitioners at his doorstep, who are pleading with him but ignores them, and his soldiers lash at them with whips. So let's go straight to the conclusion, because I know you have read the book. So as you conclude, the conclusion we say, it is evident that Brecht has effectively brought out individuals and institutions' weaknesses through satire. So it is very brief. It is not bringing any new idea. So the above sample which I've read for you or I've read to you is just a guide that is not exhaustible. There are other characters like the fat prince, the old man with the milk, and the mother-in-law that are also satirized. Students are encouraged to be on the lookout for more questions and attempt them. The best essays will be published. So it has been yours, Otieno Odero, and you can reach me at odero628@gmail.com. So hope you liked the video, you learned something from it, and you are now able or in a position to handle paper 3 of English, paper 2 and paper 3. So have a nice time. See you.